Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Want to figure out? Yeah. Oh, it just records over it. I see.
Control the medium. We can control the context of presentation. Well, is there anybody on the receiving end? Reaching out for some kind of connection. Come on and watch these shows away.
What do we? What should we call this? The third?
Third one? We'll have the lost fourth one?
Should we have the last? The last
Third one?
The last third. Was it third last time?
Was it third? I don't know what we're at now.
We should just call this number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Cabin Fever podcast number 1, 2014.
Number one.
Number 1. All right. Well, I already pressed record. So let's just
okay.
go at it.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, yeah, this is our first podcast, 2014.
Feels good to be back in the chair.
Yes, it does. It feels good to be back in the saddle and talking about all the good stuff that make life kick ass.
Meaningful.
Yep. All right, so let's kick it off. Let's try this beer. This here is a California Common. It's a home brew by yours truly, and yeah, basically it's an American lager. It's pretty dark. It's a nice ambery color to it, and the California Common. It's basically just a tasty lager.
It's very tasty.
All right, how do you like it? I mean, honest opinions. I need honest opinions of everyone that tries it.
I think it's smooth.
Okay.
I think it definitely tastes like a lager.
Yeah.
I like that it's not overpowered in flavor.
Right. Yeah.
So it makes it a lot more smooth.
And what's interesting is when I first tried this back in, it was ready right around my birthday, which was December 8th, and now it's January 21st. And beer is kind of like wine. It will age over time, and the flavors change. They get a little bit more complex, or maybe they subdue a little bit. It just depends on what kind of beer you're making and you know, your recipe and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And also like temperature and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's actually starting to taste better. Like,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, when I first tried it, it had been basically in the bottles for just a little over a month, and so now it's, you know, obviously almost 2 months being in the bottle, and I still have basically a whole case, just 24
Nice.
beers, which is nice. But I'm like, I want to get through all those beers before I start
a new one.
my new batch, or you know, get close to it. So at some point I want to start inviting people over, and we'll just
Yeah, do a taste.
get drunk on beer, or
Do a taster.
yeah, or I would really like to, you know, get a couple of guys over. Danny, our friend Danny's mentioned, like getting together and getting like a cool, fun little brew session going on.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a really fun process, and I've never actually done it with anyone else.
Uh-huh.
I've just been kind of like doing it on my own, trying to figure it out. you
Yeah, and
know.
I'm sure there'd be a lot to be learned. You know,
Oh,
other
yeah.
people's techniques and what they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But real quick, when you opened this before, you said it's changed. Like, what was different about it? Was it like more flat?
No, not flat. It was even more carbonated, I would say. Like
Okay.
too much carbonation, I guess. And it like it almost had like an off taste about it.
Uh-huh.
Like if you really like get into, especially when you get up to like the larger breweries, they have these taste tests, and you know, everyone like comes in, tastes the beer, make sure it's, you know, tasting the way it should, you know, at the point that it is in that stage of brewing. And yeah, I just didn't feel like it was where I wanted it yet. But now I really like it. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think it tastes really good.
Yeah. It's not my favorite that I've ever brewed, but lager's not really like my
Favorite kind of
favorite
beer.
kind of beer.
Well, it's good to
I
get
still
one under your
enjoy it.
belt.
Oh yeah,
know?
absolutely. See, yeah, this brewing process, like learning the whole home brewing aspect of it, is like I just want to try everything, try different techniques, try different ways of Brewing is you're just making a tea concoction with barley and hops and all kinds of stuff. But there's different processes and cooling down the wort, heating it back up,
Yeah.
boiling certain things for a certain length of time, adding extracts, things like that.
Did you Did you stick strictly to the recipe for this one?
Yeah. So far, I've stuck right to the recipe. Haven't really deviated too much. I don't really want to do that until I really grasp what is brewing.
Yeah.
What it takes to. I'm like, I'm just gonna throw in some honey here and see what happens.
Right.
Even though they tell you to do that, you're just fuck it, just try it and see what happens. But it's like, I'm putting in money in it, and investing my time into it. So I would like to know that I am gonna get a decent product and
Yeah, exactly.
have like around 50 beers worth of drinking
Exactly.
ahead of me.
And you said you had like a full case left, 24.
Yeah,
That's
so
rad.
basically a 5-gallon carboy, you'll produce about 48 beers,
Oh,
48
man.
to 50 beers, and that's a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, 224 packs, not bad.
Yeah. Well, cheers. Tastes
Thank
good.
you, sir. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
It's good shit. So yeah, next time I brew, we'll
Yeah, we
the
should
gang
like
together.
live podcasts. Maybe some
Yeah,
of
that-
the I could
we could do
describe
that.
as like a new to it. You
Yeah.
know how it's going and what's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
that-
I don't know anything about it.
yeah, that would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah,
It'd
cool.
be awesome. It'd be the beer cast.
The beer cast.
It'd be awesome.
Cast.
Yeah.
2014. Let me turn this down. Check. Okay. Right on. Well, what are we smoking here?
All right, so we're smoking in the hookah. We've got spiced chai with a little bit of mint chocolate chip. I always like to throw a little mint in there. I don't know. I like
Yeah,
a little coolness to it.
Over the weekend, I had a watermelon with melon and mint.
Nice.
And I was just like something I made up looking at the menu.
Oh, okay.
And even the server was like, "Oh, that's a really good mix. I've had it before. It was pretty good."
Was it a real watermelon bowl like made?
No.
Oh, okay.
There was the option, but I didn't get it. But yeah, that
Yeah.
probably would have been even more awesome.
Yeah, I actually tried for the first time. It was a pineapple bowl made from a pineapple, and I forget what the sheesh that we had him put in there, but it was tasty. It was
Yeah.
awesome. It was really cool, and it seemed like it lasted a long time too.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's true.
I really don't know how much actual tobacco is packed in there, but it was good sized pineapple,
Nice.
and it lasted. We could have kept going, but pieced out. So.
Yeah. Check. Okay.
I think we should talk about how we brought in the new year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think we brought it in a pretty cool way. Not the most typical way of bringing in the new year.
Yeah, so I was not about this year, for whatever reason, maybe it was just after my birthday, whatnot. I didn't feel like spending money. I didn't feel like partying, and I think most of all, I just didn't want a hangover on New Year's Day because it's so typical.
Yeah.
And the year before, I had like a really bad hangover the next day, and I just didn't want to like bring it in that way. So
Yeah, what's the shittiest way to bring in any day, especially the new year,
That's
than
a true
being
statement.
hungover and your whole day's ruined? At least for me, when I have a good hangover, I'm dead to the world. So
every time we have a podcast,
how
every
professional
single
is
time.
this?
I'm sorry.
Take it.
I have to take it.
Take it.
Okay. Back
And
at
then she said, "Put up back your pants." And I'm like, "No,
Oh, that was so graphic.
crazy, huh?
3 chicks, huh?
3. And there was a
That's
4th.
camping.
I didn't even know.
That's
Under the
camping.
bed.
You know?
That's camping.
Anyway, enough about our mothers.
Ba-dum-bum.
Anyway, so we went up to Mount Laguna, and we came camping. I think that's a badass way to bring in New Year's. There's a bunch of people up there too.
Yeah, on a Tuesday, it was pretty good.
hmm
Yep.
And then got up the next day and did a 8-mile hike around Mount Laguna.
Yeah, and I want to be honest, I wasn't expecting to do an 8-mile hike. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's just do a little hike. It'll be
Yeah.
fun. And then after a while, I'm like, where the fuck is the end of this trail? I'm like, why are we going down this canyon? It looks like it's right over there. And I'm just like, I just got to go with it.
Yeah.
Just going to go with it.
It's funny.
But it was so nice. Like,
Yeah.
the views were amazing. The company was great. It was just a all-around fun fun time. And I was a little bit hungover. Not hungover. I just had a
Yeah.
headache, and I didn't sleep at all. Like,
Oh yeah,
maybe a couple hours, like, off and on.
just because of the cold. 'Cause that's what kept me.
Yeah,
up.
it was the cold. Yeah, I
Yeah.
kept waking up because my feet were freezing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kept me up pretty good, and I did have a headache in the morning too. But yeah, I could have warned you that hikes with Chaz are like they're hikes. And what's funny is we did that same hike, and I kept mentioning to you on the hike. And the first time I went on it, I was miserable. I was like tired, and I could feel like my muscles about to cramp. And I was just like, where are we going?
Yeah.
And now I'm pretty used to it, but yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. I needed it, though. That was a nice, like, kick in the ass. It was definitely a good motivator to, like, okay, this, you know, you got an 8-mile hike under your belt. To, like,
Yeah.
you know, hiking Iron Mountain or something like that. It's like a piece of cake now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it was really, really nice. Like, it was clear skies, really great views of the stars. So, I mean, like, what's better than that? Like, being able to look up the sky, you got a campfire going, got a couple of beers, just hanging out. You know, people from the other camp are coming over drunk as hell,
Yeah.
you know, trying to spark up conversation. Just all around good time. It was a nice change from the usual, like, going either downtown, which is nice because it's great for people watching or whatever, but it gets expensive, especially you got to pay. Every time you want to go to a new bar, you got to pay cover to get in. Then you got to pay for the expensive drinks, and it really adds up. It really, really adds up. And yeah, this was a perfect way to bring in the new year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, I look back at it positively.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and then I should mention the people we went with, Chaz and Chelsea. They are regular hikers and backpackers, and they're about
Oh, yeah.
to in April leave on the Pacific Crest Trail, a 6-month hike from the border of Mexico, the border of Canada, through California, Oregon, and Washington, and it's 2,663 miles.
And we
About-
hiked a little bit of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of our trail met up with the Pacific Crest Trail that they'll be taking.
Yeah,
on
that's
their
pretty
journey.
cool knowing that, okay, this is what they're going to be hiking on.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
got a little taste of it. It's
Yeah,
cool.
definitely.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, and they're hardcore about it, and hopefully we're gonna have them on. Definitely.
Yeah, and 8 miles for them is like nothing, right? They're planning on, hiking like 20 miles a day or something crazy?
20 a day.
Damn.
20 a day.
Good God.
Broken up, rest days and
Yeah.
whatnot, but pretty much average is 20 miles a day, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But like I was telling him, you do it for a week straight, it's gonna feel like nothing.
Oh, absolutely.
And he said it's about an 8-hour day. With
Right.
that's with breaks and everything else in between. And I'm like, oh, it's just like a working day.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just trudging. No time clock.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Yeah. So hopefully we get them on here soon. Before
Yep.
the trip, before they leave.
Yeah, I'd love to meet up with them before they head out. And then, if they're able to Skype or just a phone call, quick chat on the phone to see how they're doing. And
Yeah, check in.
yeah, check in and...
Well, in June they'll be passing through Yosemite,
Oh.
and a couple of us were talking about road tripping up there and meeting them, and that's about, for them it's like a week before their midpoint, so they'll
Okay.
be almost halfway at that point. So it'd be a good
Wow.
time to check in.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, that'd be sick.
See how they're holding up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, things are well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to come up, that'd be rad.
Hell yeah.
That'd be super.
Oh, that'd be sick. Yeah, I've never been to Yosemite. It's always on my list every year when I make, my New Year's list of places I want to visit, things I want to do, and Yosemite's been on there for a couple years.
Is it like a physical list you make, or is it like a mental list?
It used to be physical. I should make it physical. I did last year.
Oh, yeah?
I would actually just like print it up on the computer, and I'm usually pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of mini goals for myself, things that I want to do and accomplish, and sometimes I forget about it.
Yeah.
But I usually
What's
like
this old thing?
Yeah, I stumble across. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing some of this shit, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then I do it.
Well, last year, we made an impromptu trip up to San Francisco and
Yeah.
Guadalajara
Yeah, that was awesome.
for Chaz and Chelsea's wedding.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way down not so much, but the way up was.
Well,
a good
yeah,
time.
way down was a little rocky, but yeah, the way up there was phenomenal, and just being up there was really, really cool.
Yeah, that was definitely like a a really cool experience, and I'm glad I didn't fly. I'm glad we drove. Like that made it
yeah.
so much better.
Oh yeah. Just the cabin after the wedding was phenomenal. Just this huge cabin. What was it, like 4 or 5 bedrooms, and then like little guest houses on the property.
two guest houses.
It had a jacuzzi and like if it was a clear day, like a really good view of the coast. Like you just see all these redwoods, and then like through the redwoods you'd see the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, secluded,
Very
quiet.
secluded, really quiet, and just so peaceful.
What do you have places in mind this year that you want to go to?
Grand Canyon, which we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
I would like to do more things outside of California. I mean, like last year I was able to went up to Chico quite a few times, went to San Francisco, and everything in between, that drive of going up to Chico or to San Francisco. Got to see a lot of that, and then last year got to go to the river, and that's always on my list is, go to the river again as many times possible when the river season comes around. But yeah, Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of blanking on the actual destinations that I want to go to.
Yeah, so just maybe travel in general.
Yeah, just travel in general, really.
Yeah. That's always great. Road trips, great. I want to do a road trip this year. I'm not sure where, but on my list is I'm doing the first 3 or 4 days of Chaz and Chelsea's hike up the Pacific.
So that's gonna be
so
cool.
That's like big.
Yeah. Are you gonna really start training for that, or do you have plans? Or are you just gonna go? Or?
I mean, we plan on still doing some more big hikes in between, and then they just got like their camping gear, their like super lightweight tents and sleeping bags and stuff. So they're wanting to take at least a couple trips out where they just go hike like 10 miles, and camp overnight and then come back. And I'm going to be joining them for that.
Okay.
So I think that'll be enough. I really think that the hiking I've done has already prepared me. Like we went and did Cowles Mountain, a local Cowles here the other night for a night hike. And I breezed it up that. No problem. I mean, that's like a mediocre hike, but still like, I remember being out of shape. That one still like kicked my ass pretty good. But, I think being with experienced hikers gives you that like little extra confidence boost and makes you want to keep up. So it just like puts you in the zone a little bit,
Yeah. There were a couple of times where on our New Year's hike that I kind of fell back a little bit. Yeah, I was also carrying my camera equipment like a retard. I had my backpack full. I had 2 cameras in there, a couple of lenses in there, batteries and shit. I'm like, that is the wrong thing to take on an 8-mile hike. I just wasn't anticipating an 8-mile hike.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple of times where I just kind of fell back a little bit. I'm like, fuck.
Well, we get done one. I think we pointed out the Whale Peak where you have to drive out to the desert.
Oh,
You
yeah.
start at the desert floor and you hike and you have to scramble up sides of mountains and the trail's not always there and stuff like that. And I was barely holding on that whole day. And when we finally got to the car on the way home, I just passed out. I was completely exhausted. I definitely want to do the Grand Canyon though.
Yeah,
So it's
it's a
awesome.
must. Because you haven't seen it either, right?
No. All my years going to Arizona, I've never been to it. Speaking of smoking, though, Colorado. How about that?
How about that?
How about it?
I think it's pretty
fantastic.
Yeah, it's tremendous. And there was an article, like from a news. I guess you would call it news, kind of like Onion News type of deal.
Oh, okay.
And they talked about how like 35 people or something overdosed from the first day of marijuana. And then like for the picture of the article, they had this dude like passed out, looked like someone from like Coachella who had too much mushrooms or something, just like passed out on the ground, and like someone's like petting his head or whatever. And I'm like, but people like actually believe this article that you can overdose from marijuana. You might have like a pot brownie and be like, I'm gonna lay down for an hour or two, but you're not gonna die, you're not gonna overdose.
No.
And a lot of like real news people like fell for this little onion prank, and I'm like, motherfuckers don't do any fucking research into this. But overall, I think it's fucking awesome. And Colorado and Washington, they're the testing ground. They're gonna be this little mecca for a while until other states start to catch on and they start to see, oh shit, these states are really generating revenue, and it's getting back into the community and making it a better place. And they're going to see that the people that smoke weed already are getting their weed no matter what, even if they get it through a medical doctor or they get it from their buddy who grows weed.
Yeah.
People who smoke weed are going to get it no matter what. And now that it's recreational, and then you can actually go into these recreational places and be able to like pick out the weed like you can with your medical license. I'm sure for some of those people for the first time who had never, had that opportunity to go into like a dispensary type of place, I'm sure it was like Disneyland for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Being like getting blown away by like the concentrates and the edibles and the different varieties and I'm sure for a lot of people it was overwhelming,
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that, it's going smoothly. It's a little funky how they're making the dispensaries do it, though. They're making them to where they're not allowed to deposit any of their money into banks. I don't know how they can force them to do that. I think it's kind of fucked up.
Right.
So now they just have huge amounts of cash that they have to figure out where to put it. I mean, they made what was it, like $1 million or something, $2 million in the first day.
Yeah, and then $5 million in the first week.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of cash.
Fuck?
And
That's
that's
insane.
dangerous,
Oh, yeah,
to deny them like an institution like that. That's they're working it out. I'm sure they're going to see, it was like they proposed a plan, a structure for it to be, but it's a whole nother ballgame once you actually have it active and put in place. What else was I hearing about? I guess part of their guidelines, they're required to report their earnings after the first month. So we'll find out in like a week on like what actually it made for tax wise and the revenue it generated. And I'm not sure if that's something they have to do every month. I'm thinking it might be something because they want to monitor how it's going, but that'll only be beneficial for everyone else because they'll see like, oh, they're pulling in a lot of money, a lot of taxes, a lot of revenue, and I haven't heard anything really bad happening.
Yeah, nothing legitimately bad has happened, and Obama just came out and said that weed's not as bad as alcohol, and alcohol's been legal since the 1920s. So, and they had their little prohibition that they had to go through, and a bunch of shitheads made a bunch of money off of it, off of prohibition, and for a long time, a bunch of shitheads have been making money off of cannabis being illegal. So. Now we'll be able to put it into like legitimate people's hands, let them control the money, let them, have an opportunity to, take this, it's a commodity, it's a product to the next level. And I really hope like more than smoking, cannabis, hemp is going to be huge.
Yeah.
It might literally save this country from having to, worry about importing shit from China, We'll be able to create our own clothing and there's endless amounts of stuff you can do with hemp.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make rubber, you can make oil, you can make it for food,
and you can make better products.
Products,
way
exactly.
stronger.
Yeah. Ford back in the day, he had a Ford Motor Company. He made a hemp car. Like it was made from hemp. Like the body of it was made from hemp sinews or whatever, like a fiberglass type of thing. That's pretty fucking cool. I mean, we should have been doing this for years. We shouldn't be having to take rubber and plastic and chemicals from the Amazon and shit like that. We shouldn't be completely depleting our country and the world for these shitty ass products that don't really last, because how long do you have a car for typically? 10 years, 15 years, and then you buy a new one, and then it's like, oh, I don't know where my old car is. I'm sure it's somewhere. Someone took care of it.
Yeah.
It's rotting somewhere. I don't know.
I think it has to do with like the baby boomer generation getting older, retiring, getting out of the way, kind of, because we're still acting on all this government, things put into place during their time, and we saw how that went. When the bubble burst and like the economy started failing and stuff like that. And so now it's just we have this whole new generation of intellect and access to information. We're looking at the way things were done, and it's not working anymore. And so changes are being made. And I think it's like small steps, but it's going in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. And it's pretty neat. Like the older you get, you kind of you do finally get to see like where the generational changes start to happen, and you start to realize like, okay, we are progressing, we are moving towards more positive things. Hopefully, I mean, especially with, you know, information's a little, it's free basically. If you have internet access, you can get information. You just have to, you know, shovel through a bunch of bullshit. But
Yeah.
for the most part, the truth is out there, and if you're an educated person, you're going to read articles that are going to enlighten you and broaden your intelligence and your horizons, and you won't be stuck in these like. We grew up in the DARE program. They scare the shit out of you, making think that weed's going to ruin your life. It's the gateway drug. You're going to start. It is a gateway drug for psychedelics, at least for me. It's like I want to experience, you know, psilocybin, LSD, or whatever, but I don't want to smoke meth or crack. I don't want to. I don't want to do cocaine or any bullshit like that.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
And I'm definitely not the only person who's like that. Everyone, I feel like in our generation, most people are cool with marijuana, and they're cool with most drugs too.
Yep. Even people I know that just don't smoke marijuana and never have and never want to for their own personal reasons, don't have a problem with other people doing it.
Right.
And, you know, they're very scientifically minded, and they see like, oh, wow, it really doesn't do, you know, much. It's not harmful. You
Right.
know? And they support it. You know, same thing with gay marriage. You know, you don't have to be gay to support gay marriage.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Just little things like that. You know, like, not to get too off topic, but like the whole gay marriage thing, you know, it's legal now, and now we don't hear anything about it. You know, it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Next, you know.
Well, for me, like these weird social issues, they're very important, like gay marriage and legalization of cannabis. But they're huge distractions from really the craziness that really is going on.
That's
the
true.
NSA and all this other shit. I don't really want to get into the NSA or whatever, because I really don't feel like I'm that enlightened on it. I get it. I kind of understand it. I know what they're doing.
Well, that's something that's so much bigger than us. It's hard to grasp. You know.
Huge. It's there's so many different levels of the truth, and it is an onion, and the more you peel away, the shittier, nastier. And the more you're going to want to cry, because it's it's not fun.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I like that. The more you're going to want to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think I was just reading on Reddit. I saw this picture on Reddit yesterday that was like someone had like landed in Denver, and someone pulled up to them and gave them like a piece of paper and some weed, and they're like, here, enjoy it, you know, like you can't take it with you, so enjoy it while you're here.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's neat. And I guess you can buy up to a quarter ounce if you're just passing through.
I think I'm going to add that to my list. I want to visit Colorado. I've never been to Colorado, and I would legitimately like to go to Denver and just and
Beautiful.
maybe a couple of the major cities. Like what's the other one? It's more of a
Boulder?
Boulder. Yeah, that's one Joe Rogan talks about. Yeah. I'd like to visit Boulder and Denver and go get some recreational marijuana.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking, like, and I'm sure they're out there, or they're going to be out there. It was just like, you know, like marijuana cafes and whatnot. You know, it was part of the downtown scene where you can go.
It's going to be the new
like a hookah
Amsterdam.
lounge.
It's going to be the new Amsterdam, and that's kind of what I've always wanted. Like, I enjoy drinking. I like going out or whatever, but I tend to drink it in excess, especially going out and about. I have crazy social anxiety, and I don't have that trigger, and like, oh, maybe I should drink some water or stop drinking.
Yeah. You just get caught up in
Yeah, I
it.
just get caught up, but I'll smoke joints all night.
Yeah.
I'll get tired after a while, but I'm not going to wake up the next day and be like, what the fuck did I do? How did I get home?
Yeah, exactly. And then, could you imagine, like, you're on a downtown front, and downtown Denver is, like, crazy awesome.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Excuse me, isn't it like you can walk, right? There's like no roads
their
or
main
something?
their main street, when they revamped downtown Denver, their main road, they just made it like they put like a tram, and it's all walking, so there's no cars that come in the way. So it's like
like
it's like a
that.
big outdoor mall.
Yeah.
And with tons of bars and breweries and all everything you can think
Dude,
of.
let's do it. Let's go. Let's go in spring or something, or
That'd be rad.
you know, like a good time of year to go there.
Like I've got family out there.
Okay.
so
Fuck yeah.
that'd be really rad. It'd be cool to go see like a Rockies Padre game or something out there. It'd be really cool.
That would be
Because their
pretty sick.
stadium, I guess, is really nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, how cool would it be? You know, you're on the downtown front in like some pod cafe, just definite people watching because you're so stoned.
Yeah,
You know, you're
exactly.
just chilling there, like just macking on food and
Yeah.
don't have a care in the world, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
No pressure to go check something else out. You're just,
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. This is cool.
I just always like that Colorado's always been so open to cannabis. I mean, even before it was legal, like
Right.
what's the college there? Every 420
Oh,
April.
the Great American Smokeout.
Yeah, they would just fill this huge courtyard. Just go on YouTube and look it up, and it's just plumes of smoke. And there are cops there. They're hanging out, just making sure everyone's, doing their thing and
Not getting rowdy or anything.
not getting too rowdy. And no one is, because
Yeah.
they're smoking blunts and pipes and hanging out, and no one gets too crazy. And
Yeah.
it's just really, it was fun to watch a couple years ago, and be like, wow, this could be reality someday. And like, I know this is just a protest. This isn't going to be like an everyday thing where parks
Yeah.
are just filled with potheads,
Everyone
smoking.
just walks out of their classes and their jobs and just starts smoking weed.
Yeah, Colorado's not going to be like filled with this pot smoke smog everywhere,
Yeah.
It's just a cool place, and I'm really glad that they're like on the forefront. You don't really hear about Washington. I'm assuming they're doing the same thing. Maybe their local governments are making it a little bit harder for these rec places to get started going or something, or
Yeah, I
maybe
don't know.
Colorado's just doing it right and they're getting all the
Or maybe Colorado's just done it first. They haven't maybe instituted
Right.
it opened yet.
yeah maybe
I don't know.
yeah maybe Washington, maybe it wasn't like January 1st.
Yeah.
It's now this. Maybe it was just getting those building blocks for the legalization. I don't know.
Yeah. It legitimately didn't take them that long though, because of what it passed in November.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And January 1st. So
I was kind of shocked. Like, I wasn't expecting it to happen so quick. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is going to take a couple years for them to actually like get all the building blocks put in place, and so everyone makes sure all these little state guys make sure they get their little cut in the marijuana, make sure they get their piece of the pie or whatever. Those motherfuckers.
yeah, exactly. That's probably what it came down to.
Yeah.
It's just been great, I'm sure, to see some of these politicians just have to roll over and accept it once it happened, But then it's like we were talking about gay marriage. Like, once it happens, and they see it working, what's there to contest?
Right.
I would hope some might come out and say, you know what? Yeah, it's actually not that bad. We're, like, generating money and people are safe and...
Well, yeah, eventually politicians, because it'll be such a positive thing that's happening within the states, politicians will be pot positive. They'll be pot
Yeah.
pro, and you'll have to be,
Yeah,
it'll be just
if you
like,
want to be elected.
you got to be God loving or supposedly Christian or whatever to become president or anything like that. You have to say,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any atheists that are anywhere in politics, really.
Not that are open about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, it will make that turn eventually, know. And hopefully it'll go across the parties, the Republican and the Democrats, because those assholes like to, create their little devices amongst each other so they can fight.
And let's face it, they're all just trying to get reelected, so they're going to have to jump on a bandwagon
Yeah, yeah.
if they want to maintain their positions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I think it's cool.
I'm so stoked. I'm like, I can't wait till California catches up. I know we're a giant state, and there's a lot of shit that, because Northern California is not Southern California, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And Middle California is not Northern or Southern.
yeah.
It's like, we are a very large state, but we're broken up into like very different
Like
ways of thinking.
factions.
Yeah, different factions for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating, and just being in the state of California, you got to imagine. And I've been to, the East Coast, the southern parts, and like that's a whole different world. So it's like, I get why it can be hard sometimes for the United States to get shit done, because
Yeah.
we're a melting pot of a bunch of crazy, fun, bizarre weirdos that,
Yeah.
trying to make
Our
shit work.
cultures are very, different
Oh yeah.
and divisive. It just comes with freedom and saying,
Yes,
I can think
exactly.
this way and you can think that way. We're not
Yeah.
always going to agree on everything.
Yeah.
But I think in the information age, it seems like to me, that stuff is kind of going by the wayside. That's like more archaic thinking.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Because you could grow up in the South, communicating with people here on the West Coast and
Yeah.
have similar ideas and whatnot. And you find, more people that think the same way you do.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's also nice, not to get too far off the subject, but when you do go online, we were talking about going online, reading and enlightening yourself, and you do see people talking online, and you can always get both sides on any discussion. I find that like the most enlightening.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, here's someone who's more like me and their opinion, and oh, I understand that. And here's someone who has a different opinion. Oh, I can understand that and respect that. Now I can make up my mind about
Right.
each one of them.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
have the information, you have both sides, everything's there. You know, it's not always a nice discussion, but
Right.
sometimes it is.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what you need. I mean, you need, because there used to be a thing where you can't discuss politics, you can't discuss religion, you have these certain things you can't discuss. And it's like, these are what we should be talking about. These
Right.
are like the major things that are controlling people's lives right now. It's like, why not get both sides of the story and then go from there? And then you can make a rational decision. Hopefully it's rational.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. Hopefully. But yeah, it's it's a safe place sometimes to go when you need that kind of stimulation.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not even looking for it, and then it's there, and then you kind of get sucked in.
Yeah. All right, there's this cool thing that, just a little quick change of subject.
Sure.
Just this cool thing that I saw online. There's this company in Switzerland that will turn your ashes into human diamond.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So I don't know the exact process scientifically. I'm sure it's making a diamond. I think it just takes a lot of heat and pressure and just takes that carbon and just crushes it
Yeah.
into a diamond. So I'm assuming they have some kind of crazy process where they can take your ashes and turn it into a cool
Yeah,
diamond.
high pressure.
Yeah, wouldn't it be
thing.
crazy? A
That would
human
be awesome.
diamond?
I would think that'd be something that'd be somewhat popular, depending on the price, obviously. But,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, jewelry.
Yeah, and this the little blurb that I saw was like certain people do different colors. Like they mentioned something about if you've ever had like chemotherapy, you'll have like a lighter color of diamond or something
Oh,
like
wow.
that. I don't
That's
know if the
fascinating.
radiation and all that stuff probably changes your cellularly
Right.
body structure or something. It's just crazy.
That'd be, you could have
would you
like
would
a
you
really-
ever do that? Like if it didn't cost like a ridiculous amount of
Yeah,
money?
I think so. I mean,
I wish our bodies automatically did that.
right.
That'd be easy.
yeah, right. Then
I
you'd
don't
have
wanna
people
see some-
harvesting bodies,
Right, yeah.
making diamonds out of it. Oh, is this human? Is this a human diamond? I don't want no human diamonds. I think it'd be neat. Especially for people who elect to get cremated. That's opposed to having like an urn in your house. You could have like a nice diamond display. And like
Well-
padded.
Do you want to be
No.
cremated? Do you want to be buried? Do you not care? What do you want a Viking burial? That'd be pretty sick.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Space maybe.
I really
I'm
thought
sure
about
they'll
it
have
that
that
much.
option eventually.
Yeah,
Just
shoot me
blast you
off.
off into space.
You could go.
Moon burial or something.
What's his face?
Cryogenically frozen? Maybe you'll get.
No, definitely not that. I think that would be really scary. Who was it? Fear and Loathing guy. Why can't I think of his name? Hunter S. Thompson was shot off in a firework.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Johnny Depp did it. They like put his ashes in a firework. So they sent him off.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's cool.
That was his own will.
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
that. I don't know. I know I talked to my mom and she wants to be cremated, and but me, I don't know. I guess I haven't thought about it. I don't know if I like the idea of being cremated myself. I think maybe I'd rather be buried.
I've always leaned towards cremation. I don't want the idea of my body rotting in a box. Just I don't want people to like. Don't buy me a plot. Don't
That's true.
buy me shit. Take
Yeah.
whatever. Hopefully, I have a lot of money when I die. Take that money, use it for yourself. Just get me cremated, and then hopefully, I'll have some cool ass spot I want you
Yeah.
figured out, where I want you to put my ashes into the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd rather do it that way.
Yeah. My mom wants to be. She wants to be like her ashes strewn about in the river.
See, that's a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's like a place she loves. And I was like objecting because I'm like, well, I love the river. I don't want to like swim
Ooh,
in
mom.
it. But that's just me.
We'll just do it like way downriver to where you're not going to be. You're like, okay, mom's that way.
Right. She's in Mexico, guys. Jump in. Jump in. Yeah. Well, that's cool though. The diamond thing. That's a novel idea. That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
novelty, but
Yeah, it's just some ballers are gonna do that, and
yeah, have them on their jingle. My grandpa's
yeah,
on my
yeah.
That's cool. So what else? Talk about Blackfish.
Yeah, let's talk about Blackfish.
Oh.
Blackfish. Oh, I have the new Assassin's Creed, Black Flag.
Yeah.
Really badass. It's like the pirate version.
Right.
And while you're sailing around the world, there's different things you can hunt, basically. You can go whaling, for one. You can hunt yourself a humpback whale. You can hunt hammerhead shark,
wow.
great white, and then you can hunt the old
The killer whale.
blackfish.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty. It's weird to do it after watching Blackfish, like
Yeah.
to virtually hunt, killer whale.
But it's all about the setting of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's set up in the 1700s.
Oh, okay.
There was plenty of them back then.
Yeah, seriously.
We weren't quite.
We were hungry.
Yeah, we were hungry. We had no idea how smart they were. We just knew there's a big ass animal in the water. I'm gonna eat it. But yeah, Blackfish. That. So you just recently saw it?
I did.
Yes.
I knew about it, and
Probably heard a lot about it. I'm sure.
yeah, heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
We actually sell it at Costco
A lot of
on DVD.
bleeding hearts going through there, buying it
I
up.
guess so, yeah. Throwing up a few. My personal take on it is I remember when, we live in San Diego with the SeaWorld, so it's just somewhere you went as a kid. And that, is fun, and it's always fascinating. Even them showing clips on the movie, I was like, oh, man, it is cool what they get them to do. But I remember the first time I went to SeaWorld as an adult, and I went to the Shamu show, something in me had changed, and I was like just being more observant,
Yeah.
like omniscient about it. And I remember sitting there thinking like, this isn't as cool as I remember, looking at the space they're given, even though it's a massive pool, but you can't help but compare it to the ocean and be like, well, that's nothing. It's absolutely nothing compared to the ocean. And
Oh yeah.
so I remember being kind of swayed the first time I went back there. Like I was like, I didn't really enjoy it as much. So, I was already like kind of that way before I saw the movie. So it didn't really. What changed for me is like getting to like know how smart the whales are, and then watching them capture, wild whales like Tilikum, who was like a calf when they caught him, and
Yep.
he grew up to be this humongous fish who did kill like a couple people and injure other people. And throughout the movie, by the end of the movie, it says he's just kept in his own pool now and comes out to do one trick, and then he's sent back to his pool and he just just sits there.
Yeah.
It's just really sad. And then listening to the trainers talk about the relationship they have with the whales, and they, for one, were closest to the whales, knowing how smart they are,
Yeah.
knowing how intuitive they are, and then just them being like, yeah, like, and then the fact that they hid all these instances of aggression from their own trainers,
Right.
who had no idea, like, that's what was happening. It's crazy. And they weren't scientists; they were trainers. They
Yeah.
weren't observing them in their natural environment either.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, I was always under the impression that these trainers went to school to get their masters in, in marine biology, and they knew everything possible about these whales. But for the most part, at least back in the day, the 80s and 90s, these were just good-looking people that can swim well,
Uh-huh.
and that were willing and able to, interact with this giant whale.
Yeah, and they were pretty, ignorant of just what the whales were and
Right.
what they were capable of. And
In Blackfish, it's not necessarily SeaWorld. There's a bunch of these different parks around the world. I don't know if SeaWorld, in the umbrella of this corporation known as SeaWorld, if they also own some of these sub-parks like Marineland and these other places. But yeah, SeaWorld's definitely most well-known for having killer whales, Shamu, that character Shamu that
yeah,
they've created.
definitely.
But yeah, the worst part is that they make billions and billions of dollars off like little stuffed Shamus and all this stuff, and it's not. I don't think it's going back towards like really conserving the whales or really educating people on how awesome these creatures are. And I was also under the impression that these were kind of rescued whales and they weren't stolen from their families,
Right.
you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
And they do this all the time. They still do this. They still take wild animals and put them in theme parks.
yeah.
That's fucked up. They
Yeah.
take dolphins, they take whales, they take walruses, seals, penguins.
Right.
Not all these animals perform, you know, but I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just fucked up. And
Yeah.
yeah, like you, I loved SeaWorld when I was younger. I always thought it was really cool. I always thought the SeaWorld show was a little weird, but it was still really awesome to see him jump out of the water and like do all these incredible things.
Because they're so big.
They're
just
huge.
so
They're
massive.
giant.
Yeah.
And then yeah, you go when you're older again, and then you sit there and you're watching the show, and you're kind of looking around, and you're like, wow, this pool isn't as big as what I remember when I was younger, you know?
Right.
You know, everything gets a little bit smaller, and you're like, wow. And then when you really learn about these whales and like the hundreds of miles that they can log in on one day, you know, just swimming around in these giant pods, their families, they're interacting with each other, they're communicating, they're living in their own utopia. They're living a wonderful, beautiful life that's not being messed up by going to work or doing any other crazy things. Like, they work together to get food. They protect the calves. You know, they also do shitty things to each other. I'm sure too. I'm sure that there's killings and kill the calves and eat them, and it might be a little rape. I don't know.
Yeah.
But intelligent beings do these shitty, fucked up things. Chimpanzees do this. Human beings definitely do it.
Yeah.
And so do some of the most intelligent things in the world, which happen to be dolphins and killer whales and other whales too. If they could get a blue whale and train it, they would have it
Oh,
in
yeah.
SeaWorld if they could do that.
Yeah.
If they could get a humpback whale and keep it alive, they would do that too. But
Yeah.
no, they get the killer whales, they get the narwhal and whatever that. I think the narwhal is that white whale.
Oh,
It's got, like,
beluga.
beluga whales, yeah,
Uh-huh.
those cute little motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's fucked up, and
Yeah.
they're doing it for mackerel, for fucking shitty ass fish.
Yeah. And then like in the movie, well, like in the original marine land or whatever, sea land, you know, they had two whales and one was new, and so he didn't know the drill for getting food, and the other whale would attack him until he got it right.
Yep.
And it just worked for the trainers because they're like, oh well, he's
Yeah,
learning.
he's
but
doing it now.
Meanwhile, the whales are all cut up and beaten up and stuff like that. And
Yeah, they call it racking. The
Racking,
one whale
that's
will
right.
take its teeth and just rack it all along the skin, and you just get these giant gashes in the whale, and they're just bleeding.
yeah.
It's
I thought it was
fucking
interesting
crazy.
the whole like lapsed dorsal fin, how they try to say, you know, it happens, and they said it happens in less than 1% in the wild.
Yep.
And it was every time they had the footage of the whales in their natural environment, and those dorsal fins
Oh,
were
yeah.
huge, and I
Fuck
was
yeah,
just like,
dude.
that's crazy. And
Oh, yeah.
Then as soon as you'd see it at SeaWorld, it'd be flopped over. I'm like, okay, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a impotent man.
Yeah,
you know, like,
exactly.
that's what I kept thinking, like rigid, strong,
Yeah.
like erection, you know.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
now he's like lost his manhood. He's
That's like
circling in a
that's a powerful symbol. I'm sure,
Yeah.
especially in the killer whale world, it's probably a pretty powerful symbol.
Oh, that's true.
And,
Very
and
true.
once that thing flops over, because it's I think they call it I think they're a matriarchal society, so the
Right.
females kind of run the show. So if they see some Tillicum, who was a giant whale, was getting his ass handed to him by these smaller female whales, because poor dude lost his prowess and he's getting fucked up, and he was
Right.
young too. He's a
Yeah.
big young whale.
And the fact that they said that the women could live up to 100 years old in the wild, I mean, that is amazing. I had no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah, when SeaWorld is telling people, like, oh, they only live 25, 30 years, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, in captivity, they live that long.
Yeah,
But in
exactly.
the wild, why can't they live for 200 years? We don't know.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
Yeah.
shit. 100 years, though, that's a long-ass time.
They're a
That's
top
to be
predator.
cruising cruising the oceans. And, yeah, if they're living a happy, healthy life, I'm sure they can live for a long, long time. Long time.
I'm sure growing up in captivity, though, like there's no instinct that, or it doesn't register with them that they are a top predator. Which is sad also because you can't really let the ones that have been in captivity go.
Oh,
at
no.
one point, because they're such a social animal, and obviously there's a lot of training involved when you're
Yep.
in the wild and learning, and you don't learn any of that. All you learn is how to move your fin around and then get fed. You know.
Yeah. I'm sure. If they were to like say release Tillicum or whatever, which they never could or would, he would probably beach himself because he wouldn't know what to do, or he'd just go up to the wrong human being and really get fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. Hang around a harbor for too long to get by a boat or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they wouldn't accept like more than likely a wild pod of killer whales aren't going to accept some impotent poor. He probably doesn't even know how to speak their version of
Yeah, that's true.
of whale.
Yeah.
So he's like out there all alone.
And they said that in the movie too. Like each pod has like their own distinct language too, and then they were just kind of shoving them all together. So it was like they were from a different families, pretty much, which didn't really happen.
Could you imagine how frustrating that would be?
Yeah.
Trying to communicate with someone who's right next to you, and the only way they can do it is by raking you.
Yeah. Getting raped.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting from like the movie perspective is how they were able to get all the footage from SeaWorld.
Well, they there was a trial that happened, and they were able to subpoena for all that footage from SeaWorld. So that's how they were able to get all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I forget what... I don't know if they mentioned it in the documentary or if I heard it on like Joe Rogan or something like that. But
Okay.
yeah, there was some lawsuit or something like that. So they're able to get all that info and get all that behind the scenes footage and shit like that.
I'm sure that this is like really heavily affected SeaWorld, this movie coming out, because it's become so popular. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, and then like if you like the Blackfish page, they're always posting all these artists that we're gonna play at SeaWorld, like
really?
musical artists, and they have this big list of like all these different country stars and rock bands and just an eclectic group of musicians, like some big names and some I didn't even recognize, but they're all bowing out of these performances because after watching Blackfish, they don't want to support.
Right, what's happening.
Yeah, they don't want to support what's happening.
I'm sure it's led a few employees to leave, too.
Oh, yeah, I can
were,
imagine.
Like, largely ignorant of what was happening.
Yeah, largely ignorant, or they were just putting up with it, and this was kind of like, okay, this is like, maybe it's time for me to,
Yeah.
Get my soul back.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the they had, like, the one girl who just... She's like dipping her foot in the water and then gets pulled in and then it breaks her arm, but she gets out. Luckily, she gets out, but you could just see the look on their faces.
That was scary.
When
she was screaming for her. Oh. The one dude that the whale just grabbed his foot and what was like 30 minutes or something crazy like that. It was a really, really long time. You take him like way deep down below and then bring him back up. And like if he wasn't a good swimmer and wasn't like a trainer, that he would have died.
Oh, yeah.
He would have freaked out, but he just was
Kept
real
his
calm, kind of petting him, just waiting for him to finally let his foot go. The only way they were able to do that was to open up the corral next to him that had the females in it. They opened that up, and then he realized, oh shit, I'm gonna get fucked up now, or it's feeding time, or something like that.
Yeah.
So luckily they let him go, or he let him go, and that guy lived. But I would never get in the water ever again after that. I'd be like, fuck that.
Yeah, it was a pretty powerful image. It was when he finally swam away, and he was just swimming for his life, literally, and got to the platform and tried to run, but his ankles were broken.
Yeah.
And it was all during a show, too.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was so crazy.
Yeah.
And he was just so calm. His demeanor was so calm. I wish they would have interviewed him. Or did they? No, they didn't interview him.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think
they were
they
talking
interviewed him.
about him, but
Yeah.
they didn't interview him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something traumatic like that. I don't see how you could get back in the water after that.
No way.
So close to death at that
No way.
point.
Yeah, Joe Rogan had this this one dude on. He's a Canadian trainer for one of the places. I think it was Marineland. I don't know, or Sealand, one of those places. But up in Toronto, and he was the walrus trainer, and he was talking about how horrific the conditions were up there, and just how the animals are just a commodity, really. And it's like, well, if it gets sick, or it's all about the money. If it's too much to to repair this animal and get it healthy, then we'll let it die and we'll go pick up a new one.
Yeah.
Type of deal. So it's when the business aspects, conflicts with the humanity and the proper treatment of animals. That's when it's like, okay, we gotta change it up here. This is too fucked up, and it's not gonna be beneficial for anyone.
Yep. What a PR nightmare for
Huge
SeaWorld.
PR nightmare. I don't know how they're gonna come back from it. Like,
Yeah.
I think they need to completely get rid of the actual Shamu thing. Keep the remaining ones that they have, and then at least the SeaWorld here in San Diego, right next to the bay, build a giant pen
Yep.
in the bay, like real saltwater, real ocean. Keep them in there. Like, I don't know, get as much as you can, possibly whatever they can afford or whatever. Keep the whales in there. Do whole educational revamp program. Teach people about killer whales. Like, really teach them. Educate people on how awesome these whales are. Like, true education. Like, they can live up to 100 years
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
wild.
Exactly.
And not give their shitty propaganda version, and just let these whales live out their lives, because they can't be released back in the wild.
Yeah.
And just make it a true, if they come across a whale that's been injured or
Right.
something like that, then you rescue that whale. You don't train it to do tricks for fish.
Yeah.
You got plenty of footage now of 20, 30 years of you doing fun things with these whales. Show those on a big screen or whatever, and then educate people about killer whales and let these whales live in peace in the water. Maybe have like a little underwater
Right.
little observing station, and I don't know.
Yeah. No.
And they completely get rid of their whole trick corral thing. And if you really got to do shit, I guess do shit with dolphins. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even though I think they're just as intelligent or whatever, I just don't. I feel like, I don't know, they're smaller.
Yeah.
They can get away with.
Yeah. I don't
it's
think
pretty
they've
fucked
had
up.
instances of them being aggressive. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just pretty satisfied with their captive life. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe get a couple of them together and they'll fuck shit up. I don't know.
Seriously. Seriously. I'm sure that
They can kill sharks. I mean, dolphins
Yeah.
can kill sharks. I think if they really wanted to kill a human, they could. But...
And they probably miss out on the whole superpod thing.
Oh yeah,
You know?
man. Yeah, getting in a big old crew of like 100+ dolphins just
Yeah.
cruising along the ocean, come across like a ship or something, and just cruise with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that's a fun life.
Yeah, exactly. Getting out in the waves, surfing, doing what they do. Oh, it's crazy.
So yeah, I mean, if I was to ever have kids, and if SeaWorld's still around, I probably wouldn't take them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think SeaWorld can survive, like you said, without the show. It's like they've been trying to be like a amusement park now anyway with their rides. And
Oh yeah, it's switching over completely. They have rides now. I mean, when I was younger, they didn't have any rides.
Yeah,
It was just
exactly.
the coolest thing, they had like a giant arcade, and back in the day, Anheuser-Busch owned SeaWorld.
Right.
So it was like way different. They had like Clydesdales and stuff there, and
Right.
I don't know, it just seemed like more animal related. Now it's definitely more towards rides and things like that. I'm like, if you want to keep evolving towards that, then phase out some of the animals and
Yeah.
keep doing your thing with penguins and whatever marine life that are a little bit lower on the
Yeah. It's true. They could pump money into having like badass aquariums and more educational stuff like that. Kind of like the Wild Animal Park.
Yeah.
It's all rescues and endangered species. That are
Yeah.
legitimately studying and keeping alive.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And then they have them in that big preserve. And
Yep.
people can go see them, stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty neat. You're not making them jump through hoops. Like, look at the gazelle. Watch him light his horns on fire.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Go through a hoop. Now that I think about it, would be rad.
Yeah.
Shit, I hope no one takes that idea.
I say write an email to the zoo
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, who's doing that? Who's writing that? Yeah, your zoo was great and all, but the animals didn't do anything. They just sat there. Make them talk or something.
I was promised Lion King.
Yeah. My son watched The Lion King. He was disappointed. So, do you want to talk about the music compilation there?
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, our friend Wayne owns Pacific Ridge Records, and he's for a couple of years now has been putting out music compilations with like relatively unknown or like newer bands to
Yep.
the scene. And this is his third installment.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is he used one of my pictures for it, actually pretty prominently, right on the cover. It's really, it turned out real nice. Like, it looks awesome, actually. And it's from the 2007 fires. What was it, the Witch Creek fires? Was that it?
I don't remember.
So, yeah, from 2007. And the fires kind of blazed through Ramona, burned down this mobile home park, and actually most of the town had evacuated at that point. But I live in town, and it wasn't really in danger of the fire like actually coming into town. So I stayed, and it was kind of neat, like cruising around Ramona, like for a
Right.
couple of days after the fire kind of like blew through because no one was around. It was like a ghost town. So I was able to kind of get around to a lot of cool locations that, they hadn't blocked off or anything like that. So I was able to get around, take a lot of cool pictures, and I got a cool one of this American flag kind of like singed a little bit on the ends, and it was just kind of like tagged against this tree. And it was still a pretty windy day. And, it's just, like, blown in the air in the background. It's all singed and burned down. And, the picture turned out really nice, and the comp looks fucking awesome. I can't wait to check out all the songs.
Yeah.
And, do you know, is he donating any money from the sale of this to, like, fire relief? I mean, I know it was a long-ass time ago,
I
but...
don't think so. I think he did do
Oh, so he did do that
something
way back
when it happened.
when it happened. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I'm like, well, it's kind of...
Yeah.
It's kind of been a while to raise money for it, but...
Yeah, right. Can I see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually gave me
that's-
2.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty rad, and I know some of the bands on here, and they're pretty good. I'd be stoked to check out the other ones. It's cool. It's on the front and the back.
Yep.
Pretty cool. That's Pacific Ridge Records.
Yeah, check them
Check
out.
it out. They got a lot of music.
Yeah, they got some. What are the other comps? They got a cool Blink-182 comp, and
Blink tribute album, an Alkaline Trio tribute.
I gotta check that one out.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's a big tribute. It's like 39 tracks.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! Is it like a double disc
Double
type
disc,
deal?
yeah.
Nice.
A Get Up Kids compilation.
Sweet.
Yeah. And a bunch of original stuff, too.
Yeah. That is awesome. But yeah, it turned out real well, and I want to thank Wayne for sending me out a couple of copies. I greatly appreciate it. Looks pretty badass.
Yeah, check out the music. I'm sure you like it.
Oh yeah, I guarantee it.
Yeah. All right, well, anything else? Anything on the paper there?
Oh, well, let me check the old paper here. No, I think we pretty much covered it. I kind
That
of
was a
wanted
good
to.
discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to get into. We got into our goals for 2014, kind of. We're kind of a couple places we wanted to visit. Talked about the body diamonds,
Yeah.
hiking, and
That's pretty
camping
cool.
on 2014.
Yeah. All right, well, stay tuned for the next one. We should have our Valentine's Day podcast coming up.
Yes, yeah, that's going to be a special one. We're going to sign up for a little online dating.
Yeah.
Yep.
See
So,
how that
ladies,
goes.
watch out.
Be on the lookout for, you don't know what we look like, but we'll find this.
Oh yeah.
We got 2 handsome men with the headphones on in our profile picture. A little microphone.
That would be funny. Yeah.
The only interest we have is podcasting.
Right, yeah. Podcasting and online dating.
Yeah, so we'll see you for that. Or wait,
Well, I'm sure hopefully we'll have a cast before
we should.
before
We should do
February 14th. But
Oh, that's right.
yeah, definitely look out for that special podcast.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.